Hello, this is Joe DeGale, County Extension Agent with Utah State University Extension Service. Welcome to our website. Today we're going to give a little demonstration about pruning techniques, tools, tree structure, and this will be the first of a segment of video footage to give you a little bit of idea of how to prune the home orchard. First off, let's talk a little bit about tools. Any job is easier to do if you have the right tools. Probably the first thing to do is to have a good old pair of work gloves. One of the most common tools we use is a pair of loppers. Loppers come in many shapes and sizes. This is the kind not to buy. This particular lopper has metal that bumps together right here, and they're pretty hard on the elbows when you're doing a lot of pruning as you cut, and the loppers come together and make a banging action. It kind of jars your elbows. A better type of pruner is one like this. This has a little rubber bumper that sits right here next to the pruning blades. This little rubber bumper is very much like a shock absorber on a vehicle. As you come crashing together, as you make a cut, that little rubber bumper cushions the bump and makes it a lot easier to prune. This particular type is a professional pair of loppers. Have wooden handles that have very straight grain, and they tend to work out pretty well. Unfortunately, they're fairly expensive. Here's another pair that are very commonly available. Again, has the little rubber bumper here, which is one of the big features to look for. This particular one has metal handles, but because of the rubber bumper, it still cushions well and allows you to make the cuts. This works really well for pruning limbs that are approximately on the small side of a 1/4 inch up to maybe as big as 1 inch in diameter. There are some loppers that have a gear mechanism that create a double cut effect that give you a lot more leverage for cutting even larger limbs. For making small cuts, a little pair of loppers like this works really well. All of these styles that I'm demonstrating are bypass type loppers. They work kind of like a pair of scissors do, where the two blades come past each other. This creates a cutting action, and they have the curved blade, which works quite well. This is another common type of hand loppers. This is called an anvil type. The blade is straight, and it simply presses down against a flat surface here, creating a cutting action. These are okay. They tend to squash the limbs when they cut them, but they work reasonably well. Again, they're referred to as kind of an anvil type. So there's cutting tools. You don't need to have all of these types, but at least one good pair of loppers and some type of little hand shears, hand loppers work very well. Let's talk about saws for a few minutes. Carpenter saws are very different than pruning saws. This is a pruning saw. It has a very curved blade. It doesn't have to have a curved blade, but the teeth are very, very coarse. A carpenter saw, if you cut with a carpenter saw, you tend to be cutting downward, having your work on a sawhorse in front of you and creating a downward cutting motion. Whereas when you're pruning, you're typically working overhead. So if you're using a carpenter saw, you use the weight of your body pushing down to create the cutting action. When you're using a pruning saw, you're typically using the weight of your body pulling down. So a pruning saw is typically cut when you pull them, unlike a carpenter saw, which cuts when you push them. So again, a real common type pruning saw. This is a straight, or it's not a straight blade, but it's a single blade. Another pair that I have that I really quite like is a little pair of folding pruning saw. Again, has a curved blade on it, coarse teeth on it, cuts when you pull, and it's pretty handy to fold together and stuff in your back pocket if you're working around a tree, and makes it very easy to kind of carry around. For larger jobs, just a standard old bowl blade. The teeth on the bowl blade tend to be quite coarse. This one has a little protecting plastic cover on it that makes it easy if you're dealing with it, so you don't accidentally cut yourself. The pruning, this type of a bowl saw is good for the larger material that are 3, 4, 5, 6 inches in diameter. You get anything bigger than that, you're going to want to break out the chainsaw. Last type of pruning pruning tools to demonstrate. This is referred to as a pruning pole. The mechanism here is the same as we've demonstrated. It has a bypass shear. Only this one's on a long handle where you can reach up into a tree where limbs are a little distance. You just simply pull the handle on this particular model, and it creates the cutting action with the head. This one also has another mechanism where you can pull a string in the very end of the handle where you can reach up quite far. For the limbs that are a long distance away, here's another one that has a mechanism here that you can actually extend out some distance. And again, it has a similar mechanism of pulling the handle to cut, and you can really reach up into a tree. These also have a pruning saw blade that you can hook on the end of the head that you can use to create, to actually saw or cut limbs that are quite a distance up, that are too big for the loppers to cut. Other tools that are needed for pruning in the orchard are a typical ladder. This ladder is not necessarily an orchard type ladder, but it serves a very good purpose. This has a fiberglass frame rated for 300 pounds. Many of the higher quality ladders will be rated around 300 pounds or so. This particular ladder is about 8 feet high, which is good for working on many semi-dwarf trees. A different style of ladder is available for commercial orchard growers. It's basically a tripod type ladder. It's all aluminum. The base is much larger, the legs are much wider in the back, and then has a single pole which is movable in and out on the back part of the ladder in this area. They're much taller, and they're a good tool for pruning large commercial orchards, trees in large commercial orchards, and also for picking apples. So a good ladder is a great resource, especially when the trees start to get a little size. Earlier we talked about pruning poles. This particular pruning pole is a good resource. It has an adjustable height on it where the length can be extended out. And then, as well as other tree varieties, there's a little saw that can be fastened on the end for saw type action. When trees get a little bit large, this becomes very handy for doing the pruning. Let me also point out this particular piece of equipment. This is a picking pole. These are designed for reaching up in a tree, picking the fruit in a manner like this. There's a little rubber base in the bottom, so as the fruit is picked by these little teeth that tend to grab the fruit, it'll drop down against this foam rubber, reducing any bruising on it. These are usually available with a wooden pole on it, and I've obtained a very heavy-duty pruning or painting pole that has a long extension like this. You can adjust it down and tighten it in. It becomes very handy for picking fruit that gets to be way high. But by way of review, one of the very purposes for pruning is to keep your trees from getting too large and too tall. But these are tools that if you already have large trees, that can be used for that type of purpose. Let me demonstrate how this large pole pruner will work. These can reach up into the tops of trees quite a distance. This particular pole pruner has a handle mechanism here, which brings the blades together in the top to make the cutting purposes. So it works quite easily for reaching up into tall trees. But the old saying goes that if you can't reach it to prune it, you can't reach it to pick it. So a lot of care needs to be taken to consistently prune a little bit every year to keep your trees from getting too tall. The last thing I'd like to share with you is our website and a publication that's on our website. This is entitled Pruning the Home Orchard. We have a website for Utah State University Extension Service. We have many publications that are there regarding home, yards, and gardens, orchard, and caring for fruit trees. The website is extension.usu.edu. That'll bring up a whole home page, and on the home page is a tab for publications. Click on publications. There will be a long list of a myriad of subjects that will come up. Look for the subject called horticulture, and clicking on the horticulture tab will take you to a section of some almost 300 fact sheets. It's easy to get lost on websites. There is a little box where you can just do a little search, put in the word pruning the home orchard or pruning, and it'll take you directly to these publications. Again, thank you for joining us today. I'm Jody Gale on behalf of Utah State University Extension Service.